three beards in the Bible.
Oh, praise him. Oh, praise him. He is holy. He is holy. Yeah, turn your gaze to heaven and raise a joyous noise. Oh, the sound of salvation come, the sound of rescued ones, and all is for our King. Angels join to sing, all for Christ our King. Oh, praise him. Oh, praise him.
It's not comfortable.
All right. Point 3. I think we beat that horse to death. And then some. Point 3 is intentionality and self-control, which still ties in. Scripture leans hard on traits like self-control, patience, and treating others as brothers and sisters in Christ. A lot of modern dating apps, casual hookups, ghosting, and can drift toward consumption of people rather than care for them. Biblically, that's a problem. You're not just evaluating someone, you're responsible for how you affect them. And if you don't work out, you're responsible for how you affect them in their future relationships. So that's as men, that's on us, you know.
Yeah, 1 Corinthians 10:31. Whatever you do all to the glory of God. So, I mean that'll cover everything. But again, how are you honoring that person?
Jason off the top rope just took my.
Sorry, I saw you coming.
Yep.
At a point, got away. So, how far do we want to go?
Well, modern dating tends to assume that you need to get to know a person more deeply than anyone else in the world to figure out whether you should be with him or her. The biblical approach suggests that real commitment to the other person should precede such a high level of intimacy. Modern dating tends to assume that a good relationship will meet all my needs and desires, and a bad one won't. It's essentially a self-centered approach. Biblical dating approaches relationships from a completely different perspective, one of ministry and service and bringing glory to God. I mean, it's they're 180 degrees out. They're polar opposites. One is me, and the other one is lifting up and pointing to Jesus. And they're just polar opposites.
They are.
What's something I think that is interesting to point out, though, is just the evolution of dating or, living with somebody, whatever you're doing before you get married, though. But, I mean, there used to be lines like, there was, you don't have sex, you don't move in. I mean, to me, the water is so muddied now. There is no difference on so many people that live together, have, a kid together, all the different stuff that they do, but they're not married in there. And it's like, and I see where they're going. It's like, why get married? I mean, what other than changing your last name or whatever, what's the point of it? You know what I mean? And in the way you look at it is marriages keep failing. And so what they keep doing is trying out more and more and more things, live with them, have kids with them, do everything. That way you can still get out if it doesn't work. You're gonna, when you get married, you're gonna run into it's not gonna work out. That's a given. And unfortunately no one tells you that in the real world, but you're gonna bump heads. The newness, the shininess of the marriage is gonna wear off. They're gonna come home pissed off they're gonna come home upset some days. They're not gonna do their hair some days. You might whatever, you know what I mean? Like the things that attract you will go away. So what keeps that relationship going? You got to wake up every day and choose to love that person. And if it doesn't come to that, if it's your compatibility or whatever, it will never work. It just never will. I mean, divorce is just going to become more rampant, or fewer and fewer people are just going to be getting divorced, or I mean, married in the first place, to where it goes down.
So, kind of to your point, there's some numbers. I know you got another one. I can see.
Go ahead.
But there's some numbers. The younger people, 18 to 22, 23, those marriages tend to fail at a pretty high rate. The butter zone seems to be between 24, 25 to 32, 33. Those are where marriages tend to be the least likely to fail. Now, and then once you get past that age, then the numbers start to drop back off again, or the divorce rate tends to go back up more. But and I've seen people use that as a reason to say, well, you shouldn't get married young. No, I think the real problem with that is that we're allowing our youth to be immature longer and longer and longer. And if we allow that trend to continue, then we're going to see that first marriage success rate, the age is either going to raise up or it's just going to stop being a success. The other things that affect it are cohabitation. If you move in with somebody and then it doesn't work out and you move out, it makes it easier to leave a marriage. So divorce rates go up among those who cohabitate. Divorce rates go up among those who have had previous divorces. The whole purpose and the intentionality of it is I'm looking for my forever, not my best chance at, or my beauty that my superficial beauty. It's an intentional, I'm going to build my life with this person, better or worse, no matter what kind of intentionality. That's what you've got to have going into it. And you've got to understand it's work. Sex is not what marriage is about. It's a benefit. Marriage is about doing life together. And it's not 50-50, it's 100% on both sides. 50-50 is divorce.
Yep. I like your not best chance at. That was a good line. You should hit your little mic drop button. Well played. All right, I got 2 points. Modern dating seems to be about finding the right person for me, where biblical dating is more about being the right person to serve your future spouse's needs, and being a God glorifying husband or wife. Modern dating, intimacy precedes commitment. In biblical dating, commitment precedes intimacy.
So I want to go back to Jared's point, though, and kind of like when we talked about the sexual part about bringing baggage. But to me, I look at the further that you move down your path of life and you're not married, you're establishing how you want to live, habits. And so when you bring someone on with you, and if you've both already owned your own house and it's night and day, and you both have had a good paying job and you've been established for a while and you've got your finances running a certain way, it's going to be so much harder to bring that together. And I just think, like you said, your goal is to live your life with this person. And so I'm not saying like there's a rush on getting married, but I also don't think there's a delay. Like you need to wait until. I remember when I was younger, and when I met Christy, I think we dated 6 months and we got married. And
Wow.
a lot of people are like, well, that's pretty, it's pretty quick. And and I was 25. I wasn't that old, but I was just on the cusp of, I just graduated college. I just now had a job. So for a lot of people, they looked at me as like, man, you're at the prime of your, stag. Like I can travel. I've got money to spend now. I could do all sorts of, whatever, however I want to do it. Like go and
You
sow
can
my
go
oats
sow
for-
your wild oats.
Yeah. So, but I think the farther you go down that line doing that, the harder it's going to be compatible with
Yep.
someone else. I mean, I've seen it. One of my buddies just got married, and I just thought about, like, because they're a little bit older, like that's got to be such a challenge, because like you've had an established life, and now all of a sudden there's someone in the other room all the time. It's not like, well, I can go back to my house and I can get some peace and quiet now. So I think there's definitely something to do that, and I don't know that numbers back anything anymore, but Mic drop.
No, it's just-
Mic set down.
so so yeah, I mean, we've kind of pushed over into point four some too. Point four is character over chemistry. Modern dating tends to prioritize attraction, personality, fit, shared interests. The Bible puts heavier weight on character and faith. Chemistry isn't ignored, but it is not the foundation. And there again leans into, you know, it's just kind of like the happiness is a fleeting thing, but joy is, it's a deep held, it's not an emotion, it's a state. It's a state of being. And that's the same thing with marriage. People misdefine love all the time, and what they're calling love is infatuation and excitement and the butterflies and all that junk, which is not bad, but that's going to fade. And love is getting up in the morning when she has ticked you off and stole the covers all night long and decided, I'm going to love her anyway. Or when you had a big fight yesterday and you know you're right, but you're going to not keep trying to make that point. And just, all right, you know what? Have this one.
It's not keeping score.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I got Proverbs 31:30. Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. And, you know, could go for a guy too. But
Yeah.
My beauty's going to last forever. All right, sorry.
Beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
yeah.
Not if you're holding this.
Gavin.
All right. Yeah, Gavin's telling us to move on because he
Yeah.
doesn't like my jokes. So, number 5 is community versus isolation. And I think
Oof.
this is going to be the one where we see the real stark differences between modern dating and classical dating. Not necessarily biblical dating, but dating back when, like, my grandparents and stuff were getting together and how that worked out. And I mean, the divorce rates were lower back then. People made it work back then. So community versus isolation. Historically and biblically, relationships weren't totally private. Family and community had a voice. Modern dating is often hyper individual and private, which makes it easier to drift or hide unhealthy patterns. A biblical approach would pull trusted community back into the process. So if you go back into the late 1800s, early 1900s, dating wasn't even a thing. The term dating wasn't even integrated into the vocabulary until I think the 1920s ish. What happened is if you wanted to court someone, you went to her house. You sat in the living room with her and her family, and it was literally a courtship, not dating. And the family, who, parents who have been around longer and seen more and can identify red flags that the young people can't, get to see that. They get to see, does this guy have manners? Was this guy raised right? What's his intentions? And we don't do that anymore. Matter of fact, now if a girl lets you pick her up at her house, guys will pull up out front and honk the horn. And girls, if anybody ever does that, just open the door, wave him off, and
Bye-bye.
Wait for the right one. Because
Yep.
that's all right. I'm gonna stop.
Okay. I have something on this one. Dating often isolates us from other Christians in our lives. That's true. The closer we become with a boyfriend or a girlfriend, the more removed we are from other important relationships. Satan loves this.
Yeah.
For sure. And he encourages it at every turn. One way to walk wisely in dating is to oppose absolutely everything Satan might want for you. Fight that impulse to draw or to date in a corner by yourselves, and instead draw one another into those important relationships. Double down on family and friends. The people willing to actually hold you accountable in dating are your best friends. The ones that are willing to press in, the ones that are willing to ask hard questions and offer maybe unwanted, but wise counsel are the best friends, and the ones that you need to respect, and the ones that you need to prize the most. So as Satan wants you to, you know, go right up to that line that none of us have the ability to stop at that line, that's when you need to double down on friends and family, and those folks around you that aren't afraid to pour into your life and give you some wise counsel.
Yeah, because Satan wants you to get so close to that line, he can come up and then shove you off the cliff.
Yep. Not even shove you, just kind of just give you a little tap. Oh, look at that.
Yep.
Yeah, I think when you talk also about the isolation, you can look at it biblically about, bringing something to the light. Well, what are you bringing to the light? Well, if this boy won't come into your house, there's a reason. If I knew I had bad intentions for a girl, the last thing I want to do is go in and meet the mom, look the dad in the eye, and then, go do something terrible.
Give him the opportunity to identify you later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think, just the biblical sense of that, there's a lot of validness there. And you think about getting another set of eyes, just having people in your corner that will notice, are you acting different because of this person? Is this person acting weird? Is there red flags that they're seeing because you've got butterflies and goo eyes and stuff? You're missing what everyone else is seeing. So those are good checks and balances by doing that. And you think about isolation, that's where the phone is just so scary, because they can come at you anytime they want, you know what I mean? And no one knows but the person on the other end usually. And so much different things get said because, you think about the keyboard heroes, and people will pop off to you, but it's the same thing. They, boys will get a lot bolder saying things to girls than they would say to their face, because you're on a phone, you're behind a keyboard. It's a lot easier there. So that isolation, it's a bad thing, I think, any way you look at it. And if you feel like, hey, I can't bring him or her around my family, it's a red flag.
So, yeah, I got a couple things I want to toss in. One, when my daughter was a teenager, I definitely had teenage boyophobia.
Oh,
She was, she still is gorgeous. She's married now, I don't have to worry about her. But she had this guy hanging around who wanted to date her. Meanwhile, I lived like 7 hours away, and she has this guy that comes around, wants to date her. Wouldn't even talk to me on the phone. She told him, she's like, I'm not going to date you until you meet my dad. And she's like, it's not really possible to physically meet him, but you need to at least talk to him on the phone and whatnot. He wouldn't do it. And he was over there one day hanging out with some other people as friends, and he's still flirting with her and trying to push. And it just so happens I called her for something, and I heard this on the other end of the phone. She's like, hey, it's my dad. Talk to him. Meet him. And the kid got in his car and left. And I told her, stop talking to him. And she's like, yeah, that's a given. She's like, nah, you didn't have to tell me that. Talking about the phones, though, that brings me into another part of modern dating that is so the norm now, but it's the dating apps and online dating, and dating almost doesn't even happen in person anymore. Now, I'm not just crabbing on online dating altogether. It can be successful. I met my wife online on probably one of the worst dating sites you can be on, and I'm not going to name it because they'll get mad at us. But but it was just it was divine intervention. But dating apps are, there's, first of all, the odds are awful. There's fake women, or there's female accounts that are fake. They're bots or prostitutes. I've seen that. And the actual legitimate women that are on dating sites, men outnumber them 1,000 to 1. Dating sites is not where you're going to find who you're looking for. Mine was an absolute act of God. And then to your point of the boldness, I have talked to women who are on dating sites, and it is ridiculously common. Like, the majority of the messages that they get are photographs that they don't want. And guys, they don't want that. They're not impressed by that. They're not intrigued by that. And if they are, you don't want them. So that's that boldness.
I got nothing.
All right.
Not on that.
All right.
Well, we'll go on to, that was 5. So, hey, we're at 6. We're only about a half hour over our time.
We tend
number
to do
6
that.
is the shopping problem. Apps have turned dating into something like a marketplace, endless options, quick judgments that can train people to treat others as disposable. Basically, people aren't commodities. They're image bearers. That doesn't forbid using apps, but it does challenge the mindset you bring to them. So I unintentionally went right into 6 before we even read it. But
I mean, we're all made in God's image. We're all people. We're all, with all of our flaws, every one of us are just wonderfully made. And, I see flaws in myself that my wife doesn't see in me. She sees flaws in herself that I don't see in her. My daughter sees flaws in herself that I don't see in her. So we're all our own worst critiques, or critics, not critiques. But I mean, yeah, it's the whole online thing to me is borderline ridiculous anyway. But no, people are people. And I mean, how many times does the Bible talk about respect? And, it's not lost on me that the degradation of society really goes hand in hand with the swipe left, swipe right society.
yeah, it's just total quick judgment. It's, what do you look like? Don't care. What do you
Yep,
look like? Don't care.
exactly.
And they're not even going to read the
The
they're not even going
profile.
to read the profile unless they stop because the picture draws them in.
Yeah.
So how many, amazing women might you miss out on because you have a superficial, childish mindset?
Yeah, and I think also respecting yourself. You look at the kind of pictures you're posting, and it's real obvious, like, what they're looking for. You know what I mean? Like, is it your face, or do we have half your boobs in there? Like, it's not a random, just shot. It's, I'm advertising, and that there's so much of that. That's where the swipe is, and like that. You're not gonna look at somebody in a t-shirt and be like, oh, they look smart, or things like that.
So those are the 6 points. So we'll read back through the headings real quick, and just as a refresher: purpose for dating, recreation versus direction, sexual ethics, intentionality and self-control, character over chemistry, community versus isolation, and then the shopping problem. And one thing that I forgot to bring up when we were in that section is somebody asked one time, well, where do I set the boundary for the physical? When do I, is it okay for a Christian dating couple to kiss or whatever? And the best explanation I've heard is, if your body is preparing itself for a sexual encounter, you need to get out of the situation. Because, like he was talking about, as guys, we always think, well, I can go a little further. I can stop. I can get to that line and I can stop. And I'm a guy, and you can't. I know this. Anybody not know this?
No, I'm
Just
well
to call it
versed.
out real
Yeah,
quick.
I agree. Yeah.
I'm well versed.
So, Final thoughts?
I mean, it's a tough thing, and it's just like I said, I just see it morphing worse and worse, or getting grayer and grayer. But you know, the intention, and you got to see the reward at the end of doing it the right way. I mean, because I didn't do it the right way, but I look back at it and I think of so many problems that I had in my life that probably would never have had I done it the right way.
Yeah, let me be crystal clear about this. This is me speaking after I came to Christ. This is not the way that I lived my life. So this is not me saying, "Oh, you need to do this." This isn't a do as I say, not as I do thing. Because what I'm trying to do is basically say dare to be different. Because all of these are landmines that I stepped in, and I wish I wouldn't have. I want the best for you guys. I mean, it's so much better doing it God's way. I wish that I would have, and I didn't. But thank God for His grace and His mercy, and the fact that it's new every day. But that doesn't give us license to do what we want. So, as your relationship with Christ matures, I pray that you mature as well. And so this isn't us sitting here saying, do as we say, not as we do. This is us really just trying to say you can do better than we did.
Yeah, I think it is kind of us saying, do as we say, not as we did.
Did. Yeah, not do, did.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I'm right there with you. If I had seen a guy like me show up for my daughter, I'd have been digging a hole in the country.
Yeah.
I mean, I was not the guy you wanted to come to your door to take your daughter out.
Yeah, I mean, if
awful.
someone like me comes to pick up my daughter, the answer is no.
Yeah.
No, you're not going out with my daughter. And that may sound hypocritical, but I know better now.
Yeah.
Than I did then.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I try to get my kids to understand all the time. I want you to learn from my scars.
Yep.
Not to carry the same scars I have. Make your own mistakes. But the things that I have screwed up, let me teach you. Let me save you that pain. That's why I wear those. And I mean, that's for everybody.
Yeah, that's our prayer for you.
Yeah, if you're in a situation and you don't know if it's right, find a mature Christian to reach out to and say, "Hey, what do you think about this?" I mean, you can message us. We'll talk to you about it if you don't have anybody else.
100%.
But it is so important and so much healthier for you to approach the women in your life that you want to be close to and in relationship with in an intentional and a well-boundaried and public way, to avoid the
pitfalls,
dangers and damages. Yeah.
My final thought is, and if you didn't start right, you can still finish right. You know, if you've been living a life that's not the way you should be, you can still change. You can still, and you don't have to say, well, I've already, I'm not a virgin. It's too late. It's not.
Isn't that amazing?
There it is. All right. God bless y'all.
We'll see you on the next one.